Namaskar and welcome. You're watching Midday Prime. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and in the next 1 hour we'll bring you all the top stories, national and international, sports and business and much more. The top story, of course, on the top of the bulletin, the latest on the parliamentary proceedings and also the latest on the overall COVID and vaccination numbers. All that and much more, but first up on Midday Prime, these are the headlines. Opposition parties continue to create ruckus in Parliament. Lok Sabha adjourned for the day. Rajya Sabha adjourned till 2:30 p.m. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu expresses concerns about conduct of some members in the House. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi says opposition not allowing discussions on many people-related issues. Kerala records more than 22,000 new infections in a day. A 6-member central team will visit most affected areas in Kerala, will give necessary suggestions to the administration to deal with the situation. Union Minister V. Muralidharan says state government should rectify its mistakes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi seeks suggestions from general public for his Independence Day speech. From the Rampal to the Red Fort, suggestions can be sent on mygov.in. In world news, Australia deploys military to enforce a COVID lockdown in Sydney amidst a Delta outbreak, which began in June that resulted in nearly 3,000 infections and 9 deaths. Boxer Lovlina Borgohain storms into semi-finals, beats former world champion from Taipei 4-1, ensures second medal for India. Archer Deepika Kumari crashes out of quarterfinals. And on Midday Prime, we begin with the big news. The proceedings in both the Houses of Parliament were disrupted due to disturbances staged by the opposition once again. Lok Sabha's proceedings were adjourned for the day on Friday, that is today, amid continued pandemonium and protests over Pegasus and other issues staged by the opposition. Discussion on the situation arising out of COVID-19 pandemic in the country and various aspects related to it under Rule 193 were proposed for today in Lok Sabha, but it could not be taken up due to chaos created by the opposition benches. Amid the din, two bills, the Commission for Air Quality Management in National Capital Region and Adjoining Areas Bill 2021 and the General Insurance Business Nationalisation Amendment Bill were introduced. The Rajya Sabha's proceedings were also adjourned for almost an hour on Friday as opposition parties tried to raise the issue of the Pegasus spyware being used to snoop on political rivals, critics of the government and journalists among others. The House was first adjourned till 12 noon. However, with continuous uproar by the opposition, the House was adjourned again till 2:30 p.m. Well, earlier when the proceedings began for the day, Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu expressed deep concerns about the conduct of some members in the House. He said that their conduct is taking the House to a new low.
Some members are visiting in the House. Some members are putting their hands on the shoulders of marshals. Thirdly, some people are taking placards and going and standing in front of the minister. All these things, we are taking the House to a new low. I never expected my members to go to that level. Yeah, protesting, walking out, vehemently opposing the government for this thing. All those things are part of it going on. And also sometimes even stalling also nowadays. But house का मर्यादा कोई पद्धति परंपरा पार्लियामेंट ये देखना पड़ेगा.
Meanwhile, commenting on the continuous uproar by the opposition in Parliament, Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi has said that the government had already informed the opposition in the past that it wants to run the House peacefully. Meanwhile, he also encouraged the opposition to present its views in the House.
हम सदन चलाना चाहते हैं और बीएसई भी हो गया है, कृपया चलाने दीजिए. और बिल है, ये धारणा जो है ना, बिल सरकार के बिल देश के लिए है, उसमें आपका व्यू पॉइंट्स रखिए ना. क्यों बंद कर रहे हैं? किसी का नाम कैसे आया? हमारा आज के मंत्री अश्विनी वैष्णव जी का, उनका नाम भी है, प्रहलाद पटेल जी का है. ये सब हो सकता है क्या? ये नॉन इशू, दे आर मेकिंग इट एन इशू.
Non-issues are being made into bigger issues. Prahlad Joshi there. In fact, my colleague Vishal Baristo joins us to talk about proceedings for the day today. Well, it seems that the opposition is hell-bent, relentlessly trying to stall the proceedings, wanting to make, the monsoon session a complete whitewash.
Well, absolutely, Sakala, very good afternoon to you. And this is very unfortunate to notice that the parliament has not been allowed to function by the opposition. It seems the opposition has decided not to let either house function, though Rajya Sabha has a better report card. Now, if we talk about the business that has been transacted and the hours that have been put in both in the upper house and lower house till 29th of this month, then Rajya Sabha had a better rate, 10.5 hours, and Lok Sabha only 6.5 hours, 6 to be precise, 6 hours 35 minutes. And when we talk about this duration, it is nothing, because many bills, 10 bills have been passed without any discussion, 7 in the lower house of the parliament and 3 in the upper house of the parliament. Though the upper house saw some good discussion on the COVID situation in the country, but this is very, very unfortunate, as both houses have not been allowed to function by the opposition, and it's a sheer waste of the exchequer's money. And also the world is watching the largest democracy, how it functions, because when the house is on, the world watches us, the world watches India. Both houses, they have seen how disruptions have been time and again disturbed proceedings of the house, and this is very, very unfortunate. Sakal?
One thing is clear, that the opposition intends to turn this monsoon session of parliament like a complete washed out session, so that to ensure that there is no discussion, and the business transaction in the house, on the floor of the house, is also, impacted to a great deal, which actually is happening. But Vishal, what more are you picking up? What seems to be the intent here? This cannot continue, because at the end of the day, the opposition benches are also the representatives of the very people, and they're accountable to the exchequer, they're accountable to the country. Is this plan in place to ensure that there is no discussion on the current pandemic crisis as well in the parliament?
Well, absolutely, Sakal. It seems so, and the intentions are very much clear, because they are not only accountable to the exchequer of the country, but they are also accountable to their respective constituencies, and it seems that they are least bothered. The opposition knows it very well that they don't have the numbers in either house. So this is how they have planned to make their presence felt in both the houses, and that is why we have seen that 10 bills have passed, which includes the food technology bill, the factoring bill, and 10 in total have been passed without any discussion. Now, this is certainly not acceptable in a democratic setup, because you need to have discussions on the bills, and not many bills are lined up, and the monsoon session was expected to be very hectic, and we were expecting that the hours of the proceedings would also be extended, because many bills were lined up, and there could have been a lot of discussion on that. If the opposition has any point, then it should come up with a discussion, not simply disrupting the proceeding of the House. And
making Pegasus and farm laws a rallying point, opposing that, but not allowing even a discussion or a debate to take place on these issues which they're trying to escalate. It doesn't make sense, Vishal.
Well, absolutely, it doesn't make sense, because if you're not discussing, then certainly this is not a democratic way, and I would say it is quite undemocratic behavior of the opposition, because they have decided not to let the House function. And when I say this, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha by 29 of this month, only 6.5 hours could be discussed in the lower house and 10.5 in the upper house. Now this is a very, very unfortunate figure, very quite depressing as far as the democratic setup of the country is concerned, because when you are not ready to discuss things, then you have no right to be part of the democratic setup. You have been sent here by your respective constituencies
Correct.
to engage and discuss things for the betterment of the country, but simply raising slogans and storming the well is definitely not helping the democratic system of the country.
Absolutely. In fact, Lok Sabha has been adjourned, and we do know, Vishal, that Rajya Sabha is adjourned till 2:30. Well, let's see what happens post that, whether the opposition allows at least Rajya Sabha to function today. There are important bills to be introduced or tabled today in Rajya Sabha as well. Meanwhile, thank you very much, Vishal Baristo, for putting this story in perspective. Thanks for joining, Vishal. Thank you. And now let's on Midday Prime move to our next segment, a developing story. Union government is committed to accelerating the pace and expanding the scope of COVID-19 vaccination throughout the country. Now, let's look at these numbers. More than 48.03 crore vaccines, these doses have been provided to states and union territories so far, through all sources, and a further 71,16,720 doses are already in pipeline. Of this, the total consumption, including wastages, amounts to 45 crore plus doses, and more than 2.92 crore balance and unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and union territories and private hospitals to be administered. And India's fight against COVID-19 continues under the latest largest vaccination drive. India's COVID vaccination coverage has surpassed 45 crore 60 lakh mark. Over 51 lakh 83,000 vaccine doses have been administered on Thursday. 34 lakh 85,635 vaccine doses were administered as first dose, and 16 lakh 97,554 vaccine doses given as second dose in the age group of 18 to 44 years on Thursday. Total number of recovered patients of COVID-19 stood at 3 crore 7 lakh 43,972. In the last 24 hours, 42,360 patients have recovered. The recovery rate has improved to 97.38%. India's active caseload currently stands at 4 lakh 5,155, which is just 1.28% of the total positive cases. The weekly positivity rate remains below at 5%. Below 5% at 2.43%. The daily positivity rate also remains below 5% at 2.44%. COVID testing capacity has substantially been wrapped up so far. Over 46 crore 46 lakh tests have been conducted. So these are the latest numbers on the doses that have been administered so far. Meanwhile, DGCA in a circular has said that the authorities have further extended the validity regarding the scheduled international commercial passenger services from India till 31st of August. And as we have that circular right on your screen, my colleague Arun joins us with more details. Arun, go ahead please.
Well, that's right. Now, the DGCA has extended this ban on the international scheduled commercial flight till 31st of August 2021. And we know this fact that as of now, via two imported mediums, the international air travel is taking place. Now, this is the Vande Bharat mission, and the another is the air bubble agreement. But as of now, all the scheduled international commercial flight operations shall remain suspended till 31st of August. Now, this decision has been taken because of the fact of the number of COVID cases increasing in certain parts of the world as well. So now the important aspect is that now it also remains to be seen that whether the country's specific international travel can that be allowed or not, because as of now, under the Vande Bharat mission or the air bubble agreement, because India is having air bubble agreement with close to 24 countries as of now. And but yes, the government of India is again working and trying to mobilize as to with more countries how can the air bubble agreement can be formalized. So in that context, yes, via two methods, that means Vande Bharat mission and of course the air bubble agreement, you can do international travel, but the scheduled international commercial flights remain suspended. However, the international cargo operations will be in place. That means all the medical supplies, medical aids, which is coming from other parts of the world and which is going from India to other parts of the world via cargo operations. So all the cargo operations primarily will be in place. However, the scheduled international commercial flights remains suspended till 31st of August 2021.
It also says the international flights scheduled on selected routes will be allowed. So, like you mentioned, the air bubble agreement, Vande Bharat initiative, what are the countries that can come in this ambit? You know, that point number 2 on the circular, Arun.
So, when we talk about the specific routes that are given permission by the Government of India or the DGCA, this includes 2 important arrangements, that is the Vande Bharat mission and of course the air bubble agreement. As of now, India is having air bubble agreement with close to more than 24 countries. That includes Canada, USA, Bangladesh, some of primarily the BIMSTEC countries. So all these countries are part of the air bubble agreement. But now, because of the rising number of COVID cases in certain part of the world, there are certain country-specific restrictions from the countryside. For example, the Canada has suspended the international operations from India because of the Delta variant. So now, gradually it says that after 31st of August, they might review the situation and they might allow the international operations. So the country specific, so if in case somebody is traveling to any specific country, they have to check the destination country whereby the travel is allowed or not. So if in case the travel is allowed, 2 modes, that is the Vande Bharat mission or the air bubble agreement, they can be approached and the tickets can be booked from the airline carrier's website, and of course the travel arrangements can be made. But the scheduled international commercial flights, that means the way we are scheduling the domestic airline operations as of now, in a similar fashion, the international operations are not scheduled as of now. The only scheduled operation, the international operations are not allowed till 31st of August as of now. But yes, if in case the flight category falls under the Vande Bharat mission, or if in case India has formed an air bubble agreement with any other country, this arrangement can take place and you can go ahead with your travel. But for that, you have to check the destination country's website, the visa arrangements over there, the embassy's website, and of course the airline's website, whether the airline is offering the travel for that country or not. Other than that, the international scheduled commercial flight operations remains suspended.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Arun, for explaining that circular in great detail. And now let's shift focus to down south Kerala, where COVID numbers in Kerala are on rise, and it's a matter of concern for 2 straight days now. Kerala has recorded more than 22,000 new cases reportedly, and over 50% of the India's daily tally comes from Kerala. The centre, meanwhile, has sent a team to the state, the second one this month, to take stock of the situation, work with the state's health department closely. Meanwhile, Union Minister V. Muralidharan has said that the state government should rectify its mistake, saying that the decision on relaxation of COVID norms during Eid festival was done due to political considerations. He said Kerala government should realize their faults.
Decision of relaxation lockdown are done on political considerations. That is why when Eid approached, they gave a complete relaxation, and we see the largest number of cases reported yesterday was from Malappuram district, 3,600 cases on a single day from one district. So Kerala government should realize their fault, their folly, and their mistakes, correct it, instead of sticking on to their false prejudice and false ego.
All right, Sunit joining us from Thiruvananthapuram on phone line to bring us up to speed with the latest in Kerala. Sunit, so now the question is, first of all, what is the state government doing to contain the situation? The numbers are clearly on upswing, and Union Minister Muralidharan has called spade as spade, that Kerala government did go ahead. They relaxed the norms, or there were relaxations put in place during Eid celebration. And could that be one of the biggest reason why we see spike in numbers in Kerala? Sunit.
After the surge in, after this basically increase in COVID cases, the government has the recent government order says that from tomorrow and day after tomorrow, the state will witness a complete lockdown.
Okay.
And the COVID-19 regulations in Kerala nowadays are based on a 7-day average test positivity rate in local self-government institutions. Accordingly, LSGs with low CPR will have certain relaxations, and places with a high TPR will have a strong restrictions. Yesterday, while talking to the media, our health minister, Kerala's health minister, Vinagar, suggested that for the next 2 to 3 weeks are very crucial, and because the Onam holidays are coming and the Onam celebrations are coming, so more people would definitely come out of their house for shopping and celebration. So the minister has asked the people to avoid maximum gathering and to be at home and celebrate the festival.
All right, thank you very much for that quick input, Sunit, joining us from Thiruvananthapuram. And now the Central Board of Secondary Education CBSE Class 12 results have also been announced. Passing percentage is 99.37%, boys' pass percentage is 99.13%, while girls' pass percentage this time around has touched 99.67%. CBSE Class 12 results announced. And now moving on to our next segment, National Prime. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has invited citizens to contribute their inputs for the Independence Day speech. He will pick up some of these ideas in his speech on 15th of August. Over the last few years, Prime Minister Modi has directly invited ideas and suggestions from citizens for the Independence Day speech on 15th of August every year. Prime Minister addresses from the ramparts of the Red Fort and lays out the government's programs and policies. Prime Minister's office, PMO, has said the thoughts of the citizens will reverberate from the ramparts of the Red Fort, and people can share their ideas and suggestions on the citizen engagement platform, that is mygov.in. Some news coming in from Himachal Pradesh, where monsoon fury continues to disrupt normal life in many parts of the hilly region. In Sirmaur district, heavy rainfall and landslides have caused a wall to collapse, posing severe damage in the area. National Highway 707 near Badwas has been blocked due to the landslide. According to the administration, the road will be again operational after getting repaired in 2 to 3 days. While Mandi district of Himachal Pradesh continues to witness heavy rainfall, in Ramnagar, a rooftop in the parking collapsed, damaging at least 12 vehicles. Mandi-Kullu National Highway was being closed for more than an hour due to heavy rainfall and landslides. Routes have been diverted via Kotala-Bajora Marg. Meanwhile, IMD has also issued yellow alert for Himachal Pradesh. While the state may witness bad weather conditions, flood alert has been issued for 5 districts of Himachal Pradesh, including Chamba, Mandi, Kullu, Shimla and Solan. And talking about Delhi, due to release of excess water from Hatni Kund barrage in Haryana, the water levels of Yamuna river have also increased in the national capital, which has increased the risk of flood in Delhi and adjoining low-lying areas. Water is being released from Hatni Kund barrage of Yamunanagar for 2 days, and lakhs of cusecs of water is coming towards Delhi. In view of the rising water level of Yamuna, the Iron Bridge has been closed. The water level of Yamuna was 205.17 meters in Delhi this morning, which has now crossed the danger mark. Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray is reviewing flood situation in Kolhapur today. BJP leader Devendra Fadnavis is also visiting Kolhapur to take stock of the damage and meet flooded people. The death toll, meanwhile, in the flood-affected districts of Maharashtra stands at 203, while 8 people are still reported to be missing. The district affected by floods are Ratnagiri, Satara, Thane, Sindhu, Kolhapur and Pune. Over 4.35 lakh people have been evacuated from the several affected villages. 16 teams of NDRF and 2 teams of army have been deployed. Meanwhile, the state government, after the cabinet meeting, announced that relief to the landslide and flooded people will be provided as per the norms of the State Disaster Response Fund. It also decided to provide immediate assistance, including an amount of Rs 10,000 each to the affected. BJP leader Devendra Fadnavis has also visited Kolhapur to take stock of the damage there in Maharashtra floods. Death toll stands at 203. 8 persons are missing. Flood-affected districts are Ratnagiri, Satara, Thane, Sindhugarh, Kolhapur, Pune as well, and over 4.35 lakh people have been evacuated so far from several flood-ravaged villages, and 16 teams of NDRF and 2 teams of Army have been deployed for evacuation, relief and rehabilitation work. Okay, let's quickly go back to our story on Himachal Pradesh rainfall and flooding in certain districts reported. Nandini, my colleague, joins us. Nandini, first of all, what is the IMD's prediction for the next 2 days, and what is the administration now doing to clear those regions which are slightly cut off? There are landslides that are reported. Yellow alert has been already sounded in the state. Nandini?
Sakal, orange alert has been issued by the government regarding Lahaul Spiti, Kinnaur, Sirmaur and other districts too. If we talk about Lahaul Spiti, then more than 200 people are still stranded in that valley, and government is trying its best to evacuate them. Presently, in the morning, the government was planning that we may evacuate those people who are stranded in Lahaul by helicopter. But as per my reports, the rain has again started in that valley, and it is very difficult for the helicopter to go there and rescue the people. The similar video came from Sirmaur district when the mountain broke and the whole national highway washed away with the debris of the mountain. So the traffic has been disrupted on that road also, that national highway.
Okay, so those areas which are, because of the incessant weather conditions, incessant rainfall, have been cut off from the main Himachal. You talked about Lahaul Spiti, Nandini. Those people who are trapped, predominantly, are they tourists?
Few are, more than 100 are tourists, but like 100 more are local residents who have gone to that area for business purpose and other purposes. The tourists who have been stranded here have been put on, have been stranded at a place where they have been kept in rest houses and other safe places. So there is nothing to be panic about, as government is taking good care of them, and they have assured all the tourists who are stranded in Himachal that proper evacuation will be done as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you very much, Nandini, for those quick updates from Himachal. Thank you. Well, continuing to repatriate stolen idols, the National Gallery of Australia has announced today that it would return 14 works of art from its Asian art collection to the Indian government. The works include 6 bronze or stone sculptures, a brass processional standard, a painted scroll and 6 photographs. In a tweet, Minister of State for External Affairs and Culture Meenakshi Lekhi has thanked Prime Minister Modi for the concerted efforts. She tweeted, and I quote, "I take this opportunity to thank Honorable Prime Minister for the concerted efforts due to which 14 stolen Indian heritage objects are being repatriated," unquote. News coming in from Bhopal. Ministry of Education's program Swayam works closely with colleges in engineering, in arts, commerce, science and management disciplines across the country, and many students are taking these certification courses as it helps them in improving their employability. The students are able to gain education and practical knowledge from the comfort of their homes. Here's one such story from Madhya Pradesh's Bhopal.
Swayam program was initiated to provide free online education to students from leading institutes and teachers. Over 10,000 students of Bhopal's Lakshmi Narayan College in Madhya Pradesh registered themselves with Swayam to avail free education. Students not only expanded their knowledge via Swayam but also learned skills and got certificates. Professor Amitabh Bodh has himself completed more than 22 courses online through Swayam.
सर्वप्रथम हमने स्वयं कोर्स किया टीचर्स ने, जिससे कि हम स्टूडेंट को उसके जो सिग्निफिकेंस है, यूटिलिटी है, उसको अच्छे से बता सकें। और पहले मैंने कोर्स किया, फिर मैंने क्लास में जा जाकर स्टूडेंट्स को मोटिवेट किया, और जो हमारे सोशल साइट्स है, मीडिया है, मैसेज, वो भी यूज़ किए। और उसी तारतम्य में मैंने 20 कोर्स किए हैं जो डिफरेंट डोमेन में हैं। तो एज ए टीचर उससे मुझे जो लर्निंग है मेरी वो ज़्यादा इन्हांस हुई और मेरा कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ा। जैसे कि इसमें टेक्निकल के साथ साथ नॉन टेक्निकल और सॉफ्ट स्किल कोर्सेज भी होते हैं। अभी तक हमारे LNCT समूह से 10,000 से ज़्यादा बच्चे इसमें एनरोल हो चुके हैं और 4,000 से ज़्यादा स्टूडेंट इसमें सक्सेसफुली अपना कोर्स कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं। मुझे भी NPTEL ने जो स्वयं का ही एक पार्ट है, 5 डिफरेंट डोमेन में NPTEL स्टार मुझे चुना है। मैंने लगभग 22 कोर्स अभी तक मैं कर चुका हूँ।
Under the guidance of Professor Amitabh Bodh, over 10,000 students registered themselves with SWAYAM. Students said that the SWAYAM platform not only provided them free education and skills, but also gave them an opportunity to take lectures of teachers from leading institutes of India.
स्वयं पोर्टल का सबसे ज़्यादा प्रयोग मैंने किया NPTEL कोर्सेज़ के लिए। स्पेशली जावा की बात करें, मेरा कोर्स था जावा, और कंप्यूटर साइंस स्टूडेंट होने के नाते जावा बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है, तो इसलिए मैंने अपना जावा कोर्स NPTEL से कंप्लीट किया। सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि IIT खड़गपुर के जो टीचर्स हैं वो आपको खुद एक्सप्लेन करते हैं, चीज़ें खुद समझाते हैं, तो कॉन्सेप्ट्स और क्लियर हो जाते हैं, बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग बेटर हो जाती है। और NPTEL मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंटली सर्टिफिकेशन देता है जो ये बताता है कि आप परफेक्टली सर्टिफाइड हैं आगे कॉर्पोरेट जॉब्स के लिए। तो NPTEL ने इस तरीके से बहुत सहयोग किया है, मेरी सहायता भी की है, और जो बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं उनको समझने के लिए बहुत हेल्प की है।
स्वयं पोर्टल का मेरी लाइफ में बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस इसलिए रहा है बिकॉज NPTEL पे जब मैंने रजिस्ट्रेशन किया तो मुझे पता चला कि IIT सर्टिफाइड कोर्सेज वहाँ पे अवेलेबल हैं और मैं फ्री लर्निंग वहाँ पे ले सकता हूँ, और सर्टिफिकेट्स के लिए मैं एग्ज़ाम दे के सर्टिफाई हो सकता हूँ IIT से। और मैंने DBMS और प्रोग्रामिंग इन जावा का कोर्स किया और उसमें मुझे सिल्वर मेडल मिला, और वो भी IIT खड़गपुर से। जब हम IIT सर्टिफाई करते हैं अपने आप को, तो जब हम अपनी कंपनीज़ के लिए इंटरव्यू देते हैं या फिर किसी से भी बात करते हैं और उनको बताते हैं कि हमने ये सब्जेक्ट IIT से किया है, उसकी वैल्यू अपने आप में बहुत बढ़ जाती है।
Students have also started their own startups after learning skills from SWAYAM in various subjects including plastic, solid and electronic waste management.
मैंने 3 कोर्सेज करे हैं। पहला है ई-वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, दूसरा है प्लास्टिक वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, और तीसरा है इंटीग्रेटेड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट फॉर अ स्मार्ट सिटी। 2 कोर्सेज का मैं टॉपर रहा हूँ ऑल ओवर इंडिया, प्लास्टिक वेस्ट और ई-वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट। इसके सफलतापूर्वक मुझे IIT खड़गपुर से ट्रेनिंग का भी ऑफ़र आया है, जो कि 4 महीने से अभी प्रस्तावित है कोविड के कारण, और इसी से मैं मोटिवेट होकर मैंने एक स्टार्टअप चालू किया है जिसका नाम है पेट्रोप्लास्ट को JIC जबलपुर स्मार्ट सिटी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ मध्य प्रदेश से रिकॉग्निशन मिला हुआ है। LNCT का भी योगदान बहुत अच्छा है इसमें। और उसके बाद अभी रिसेंटली मैंने UNEP में टाइट टर्नर्स चैलेंज में चैम्पियन लेवल सर्टिफिकेट प्राप्त किया है।
SWAYAM website has over 2,000 curriculums related to subjects of students from 9th to graduation level. The efforts of Professor Amitabh Bodh have not only inspired students to learn online but also helped them to do innovations. Ajit Dwivedi's report, Bhopal, TD India.
And in Midday Prime, it's time for the news and updates coming in from the world of business. And on Business Prime, my colleague Tanvi joins us with more. Tanvi, good afternoon. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Sakal. The domestic stock markets have posted modest gains so far on Friday. So the Sensex at the BSE had gained 186 points, or 0.4% to 52,839 a short while ago. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange had added 64 points, or 0.4% to 15,843. In the broader market, the BSE Mid-Cap Index climbed 0.9%, while the Small-Cap Index surged over 1%. The top index gainers in afternoon deals on the BSE are Tech Mahindra, HCL, Dr. Reddy's Labs, Mahindra & Mahindra and Power Grid Corporation, with gains of between 2.2 and 8%. The top index losers are SBI, Bajaj Finserv and Bajaj Finance, with losses of between 1.8 and 2.2%. But other key Asian markets fell on Friday, extending their biggest monthly drop since the height of the global pandemic lockdowns last March. on lingering investor concerns over regulatory crackdowns in China on the education, property and tech sectors. So MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan fell 1.3%, taking its losses for the month to more than 7%. Japan's Nikkei 225 index slumped 1.8%, China's Shanghai Composite Index slipped 0.4%, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index plunged 1.6%, and South Korea's Kospi Index dropped 1.2%. On to Wall Street. Stocks ended higher on Thursday, boosted by robust US earnings and forecasts. Data showed that the US economy grew solidly in the second quarter, putting the level of gross domestic product above its pre-pandemic peak. So the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.4%, the S&P 500 gained 0.4% again, and the Nasdaq Composite Index added 0.1%. Back home at the Forex market, the rupee had appreciated 2 paise against the dollar in early trade on Friday amid positive domestic stock markets. But later, the rupee lost ground and had depreciated 5 paise to 74 rupees 33 paise against the dollar in afternoon deals a short while ago. At the multi-commodity exchange, gold had weakened 86 rupees to 48,195 rupees per 10 grams. Let's also update you how the silver metal is doing. It dropped 139 rupees to 68,061 rupees per kilo. And very quickly, let's tell you how the global energy market is doing for the day. Global crude oil prices dropped on Friday, but remained on track to post weekly gains, with demand growing faster than supply. While vaccinations are expected to alleviate the impact of a resurgence in COVID-19 infections across the globe. So Brent crude fell 45 cents or 0.6% to $75.60 a barrel. US crude fell 43 cents or 0.6% to $73.19 a barrel. But both Brent and US crude are headed for gains of around 2% for the week, buoyed by indications of tight crude supplies and strong demand in the United States, that we know is the world's biggest oil consumer. So that's it in Business Prime for the moment. Let's go back to Sakal.
Thank you, Tanvi, for those updates from the world of business. And from Business Prime, it's time to move on and take a quick look at what's making news across the globe in World Prime. Australia's largest city, Sydney, on Friday, that is July 30th, reported a slight easing in locally acquired cases of COVID-19 amid a further tightening of restrictions in the worst affected suburbs, with the military summoned to help enforce lockdown rules. Millions in Sydney began one of the country's harshest lockdowns since the pandemic began on Friday, after nearly 5 weeks of increasingly tough restrictions failed to quell an outbreak of the highly infectious Delta variant. Although cases dipped for the first time in nearly a week, State Premier Gladys Berejiklian has warned cases could again rise due to the growing number of people positive with the Delta strain moving around in the community. From Australia, moving on to France, where France has called England's quarantine measures for French travellers extremely discriminatory. French Europe Minister Clement Beaune has said that the measures are not based on science. England had earlier allowed fully vaccinated visitors from European countries other than France to arrive without needing to quarantine. The new measures will come into effect from next week. Meanwhile, the British government has stated that it is keeping quarantine rules for travellers from France because of the presence of the Beta variant in the country. Coronavirus pandemic ravaged across Russia. In fact, the country has registered an all-time high in the number of fatalities from COVID-19 being reported daily. Russia, with population of over 14 crore 60 lakh, more than 62 lakh 82,000 cases of the disease. The death toll from COVID-19 in Russia stands above 1 lakh 56,000. From Russia, moving on to Germany, where hundreds of Syrian volunteers assist Germany to deal with the most devastating floods in 60 years. Germany, which lost at least 180 lives in the flooding earlier this month, opened its borders in 2015 to more than 1 million migrants, many of them Syrians fleeing war and poverty. Volunteers helped to clean homes and renovate them, drawing on their experience with catastrophes in their homeland to help the country that took them in. The floods have shaken up the political agenda before a national election in September, raising uncomfortable questions about why Europe's largest economy was caught flat-footed. According to recent survey, 2/3 of Germans believe that federal and regional policymakers should have done more to protect communities from flooding. And in Guatemala, thousands of people thronged streets demanding the resignation of the president Alejandro Giammattei after the firing of a well-known anti-corruption prosecutor. Protesters have blocked roads across the Central American country, set fire to tires and threw paint over police deployed to protect government buildings. The protests have stirred up in Guatemala since Attorney General Maria Porras last week removed anti-graft fighter Juan Francisco Sandoval as head of the Special Prosecutor's Office Against Humanity. Well, that was about World Prime, and now it's time for stories from the world of sports and Sports Prime. And news from Tokyo Olympics and more. My colleague Deepika joins us with more. Over to you, Deepika. Good afternoon. And congratulations for the Lovlina's great feat.
Of course, India is backed another medal and confirmed once again. So let's take a quick look at all what is happening in Tokyo. Starting with the biggest news, the Indian contingent's wait for the second medal at the Tokyo Olympics is finally over. The interesting part here, though, is that no one knows what the exact color of the medal will be. Indian boxer Lovlina Borgohain wrote her name in the books of history on Friday when she beat Chinese Taipei's Nian Chin Chen in the women's welterweight quarterfinal by 4-1.
Rising Indian boxer Lovlina Borgohain, a two-time World Championship bronze medalist, has become the talk of the town after assuring herself of a medal at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics in the welterweight category. She defeated Chinese Taipei Chen Yanqin by 4-1 in the quarterfinals. In boxing, losing semi-finalists also get the bronze medal. However, Lovlina will be aiming much higher. If she wins her semi-final bout, she will be competing for the gold and will be assured of at least a silver.
कोविड के वजह से मुझे मतलब एक तो पहला मेरा इटली का टूर था वो भी मुझे मिस हुआ और मुझे इंटरनेशनल कंपटीशन बहुत कम मिल रहा था क्योंकि कोविड के वजह से भी और कोविड के वजह से कंपटीशन बहुत कम ही हो रहे थे और मुझे कोविड हुआ इसलिए मतलब एक कंपटीशन तो मैंने मिस ही कर दिया एक इटली का टूर था और एक कंपटीशन मैंने मिस किया तो मैंने मतलब रिंग का जो कंपटीशन का फीलिंग है वो बहुत कम मिल रहे थे मुझे इसलिए मुझे स्पायरिंग की ज़रूरत थी कोविड के वजह से बहुत मतलब स्पायरिंग भी बहुत कम होते थे तो लेकिन मैंने सोचा कि मतलब अगर स्पायरिंग नहीं हो रहा है तो मैं उसको कैसे दूसरे तरफ से ठीक कर सकती हूँ और उसी तरह मैंने ट्रेनिंग किया और हमारे कोचेस में और मेरा मतलब सबके हेल्प के वजह से ही अच्छा कर पाई
Lovlina will now be up against the reigning world champion Busenaz Sürmeneli of Turkey in the semi-finals. Union Minister for Sports and Youth Affairs Anurag Singh Thakur lauded Lovlina Borgohain for her tremendous performance at the Tokyo Olympics.
जो भारत का एक और मेडल पक्का हुआ है मैं तो यही कहूंगा 130 करोड़ भारतीय शुभकामनाएं भेजते हैं कि आप गोल्ड मेडल जीत कर आए और देश को आपसे बहुत सारी उम्मीदें हैं और बाकी भी जितने इवेंट्स हमारे बचते हैं उसमें हमारे खिलाड़ी शानदार प्रदर्शन करें ऐसी हमारी उम्मीद है
भारत सरकार की तरफ से तो ये सब मिला है फेडरेशन ने जो जितना ट्रेनिंग हुआ है वो जितना वो बाहर में किया है इंटरनेशनल जो गेम खेला है सब तो हम लोग घर से नहीं देते वो सरकार देते थे और फेडरेशन देते थे, और इस उम्मीद से मैं बोल रहा हूँ, जो जितने हैं उनके पीछे सबको मैं बधाई देना चाहती हूँ.
As she basks in the glory of her achievement, here's a look at her incredible journey so far. Lovlina belongs to the Baramukhia village in Golaghat district of Assam. She started as a kickboxer. 23-year-old first displayed her boxing skills at Sports Authority of India trials at her primary school. It was during the trials that she was noticed by Padam Burrow, who started coaching her in 2012. She would later start taking lessons from India's chief women's boxing coach, शिव सिंह.
मोहम्मद अली का मुझे जो वो खेलते हैं उनका लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस मूवमेंट में ये सब देखती हूँ. हाँ, ये है कि हर बॉक्सर अलग अलग होता है, अलग अलग मतलब तरफ से उनके लिए खेलना पड़ता है. कोई भी मतलब दो बॉक्सर सेम नहीं हो सकता है. मैं मोहम्मद अली का कुछ चीज़ फॉलो करती हूँ, जैसे उनका फुटवर्क, उनका पंच, लॉन्ग पंच. तो हाँ, उसको देखती हूँ मैं. ओलंपिक से पहले मैं 1-2 बार हाँ वीडियो देखा था मैंने.
Let's take a look at her major achievements. Assured medal at Tokyo Olympics, bronze in 2021 Dubai Asian Championship, bronze in 2019 Ulan-Ude World Championship, bronze in 2018 New World Championship, bronze in 2017 Ho Chi Minh City Asian Championship, Arjuna Award 2020. India's previous boxing medals have come through Vijender Singh in 2008 and MC Maricom in 2012. Both of them had won bronze, and Borgohain would look to better that. Sports Desk, DD India.
And Boxing Federation of India's president, Mr. Ajay Singh, congratulated Boxer Lovlina Borgohain for entering the semi-finals of the women's welterweight category. In an exclusive interaction with our correspondent Tapush Bhattacharya, the BFI president said Lovlina Borgohain is symbolic of a young, new and fearless India.
All these boxers who have been working really hard over the last few years to prepare for the Tokyo Games, and finally, sir, the day has come when you are really happy. I can see you smile. Lovlina has made you really proud, and this is just a start, I believe.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's a start not only for Lovlina but for Indian boxing. I think Lovlina has fantastic potential. I had a long conversation with her. I told her this is just a start for you, and you need to go out there and win a gold medal for India. And not only here, she needs to be fit and compete in the 2024 Olympics as well. So I think wonderful that the very first woman boxer from Assam has gone and made India, Assam and India so proud. We are absolutely delighted, but there's a long way to go.
Right, and also later today, Simranjit is also will be in action. If she wins, we can have a double celebration.
Absolutely, I think now we have to see Pooja Rani, because her next match is a medal bout. Satish's next round is a medal bout. Amit Fangal, of course, is one of the top-ranked boxers in the world. We have high hopes, but I think this has been a very difficult year for all of us because of COVID and how that's impacted preparations and so on. But I think we are building a very good nucleus, a very good team of youngsters to take Indian boxing forward. If you see how well our youth boxers are doing as well, I think the future is very bright for Indian boxing.
Do you believe that this is the time to take it even forward and establish a system in place where this becomes a norm, not just a one-off thing, but medals become a norm?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's no reason why India should not be in the top 2-3 boxing nations of the world. As you know, we started 4 years ago. We were ranked very low, and in the next in the last 4 years, we are now in the top 10 boxing nations of the world. There's no reason on earth why India will not be in the top 2-3 boxing nations with a proper system. And I think there's tremendous support that we are getting from the government of India, from the Sports Authority of India. I think with a scientific system in place, there's no reason why by 2028 India will not be in the top 2 or 3 countries, boxing nations of the world.
Do we see more international tournaments like of World Championship and leagues, especially leagues that you have proposed earlier, coming and staying in the country and making a name here?
Oh, absolutely. We've had 2 World Championships over the last 4 years in India. We will continue to have many more championships in India. We just want this COVID to be over as soon as possible, and India will be a hub of global boxing. There's no question about it.
Really appreciate your time, sir, and I hope that in due course of time we will have more medals in our kitty. Appreciate, sir. Thank you so much for joining with Doordarshan.
Thank you. Thank you.
And my colleague Narayan Singh is joining us with more. Narayan, very good afternoon. Congratulations. And again, we are getting a good news that PV Sindhu has entered into the semi-finals.
Really another good news today for India, as after Lovlina Borgohain assured India of a medal, PV Sindhu entered the semi-finals of the Olympic tournament in badminton event, and she played a fantastic badminton match here against the Akane Yamaguchi of Japan. The way she played, once it was looking like that Yamaguchi had made a bounce back in the match, but she kept her calm, she kept her composure and covered the whole court against the Yamaguchi, the Japanese opponent. And right now she is in the semi-final of the match, and we are hoping that she will also get a medal for India this time also. And she will, if she manages to win a medal in the Tokyo Olympic, it will be Sindhu's second medal after the medal she got in the Rio Olympics, and she will be an exclusive club of athletes. The big thing with Sindhu is that the hallmark of the big players is that they make bounce back, they make comeback, and they dig deep in the matches. In the before the run-up to the Tokyo Olympics, she was not in the form. In the last 18 months, she only reached the semi-finals of the Swiss Open, but as she entered the top stage, at the biggest stage of all, that is Olympics, she again gained that momentum, and she again showed her killing game. And in the first opening match of this Tokyo Olympics, she defeated her opponent in just 27 minutes. So she's again in a form, and the big plus of Sindhu is that whenever she plays in the big tournaments, whether it is Olympics, whether it is World Championships, she becomes a different player. She is the only player to have from India 5 World Championship medals. She is the entered the Olympics as the reigning world champion.
Absolutely, Narayan. Coming on to Lovlina Borgohain. Just a while ago, the current silver Tokyo Olympics medalist Mirabai Chanu tweeted, "Lovlina, you are just 2 wins away to go for gold." Is it a possibility?
Definitely, the way she played against her Taiwanese opponent, she was very calm and composed during her whole match, and she also took the revenge against the Taiwan boxer. And the way she played, it is a comprehensive win for Lovlina Borgohain. And the big thing is that she took the revenge against this opponent, and after that she will play the world champion in the welterweight category. And the big thing about one more thing that I would like to add here for Lovlina Borgohain, that in July 2020 she has to skip the national camp, as her mother was not, she was suffering from nephrological ailments, and she had to go to Assam, and she was with her mother, and after that she was also helping her father in the paddy fields. And earlier this year,
it's been a long journey for her. It's been a long journey for her.
Against all adversity is there, she is coming back to the big stage and winning medal for India. And we can say that these new athletes of India are of the great grit and determination.
Absolutely, and all eyes are on women who are leading the Indian contingent at the Tokyo Olympics right now. Thank you so much, Narayan, for joining us. And moving on for now, Coming to archery, Indian archer Deepika Kumari has gone down by 0-6 in the quarterfinals to top seed An So of South Korea. The Indian was playing catch-up from the start as she hit a 7 to begin with, while An So started with 3 straight 10s to take the first set. Deepika Kumari took her time to begin the second set and shot a 10, but followed it with 2 straight 7s, which all but put her out of contention. She began the third set with another 7 when perhaps a closer score would have given her an in, as the Korean couldn't find a 10 in the round either. It was not the best of matches for An So, but she didn't have to do much after those perfect 10s. And Deepika Kumari could not recover after the first set, and it made all the difference in the end. Well, that's all for now in sports. Over to you, Sakal.
Well, it's okay if Deepika is out, but we still have lots and lots of hopes for the remaining contingent out there who continue to kind of perform consistently and get us good headlines from Tokyo. Thank you so much, Deepika, for joining us. And now it's time for our next segment, that is Live Prime, where we bring you stories from the world of art, culture, cinema, fashion, science, as well as innovation. These are the stories that will make you smile. These are the stories that are changing lives. In Live Prime, we have this place in China where visitors enjoy bungee jumping from the world's highest bungee jumping glass bridge. The 430-meter high glass-bottomed suspension bridge in China's Hunan province is a popular tourist attraction, which is famous for sandstone pillars and peaks extending into the clouds. Visitors to the Jiangxi Grand Canyon Glass Bridge can now take a leap from a height of 260 meters. It is actually a stomach-churning way to take in the views of the surrounding Wulingyuan wilderness, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. These actually visuals in itself are overwhelming. Well, this bridge opened last year after a COVID-19 induced closure. So this is world's highest bungee jumping site, and that comes from China. And with that, we will not wrap up, but before we wrap up, let's talk about Indonesia as well. Indonesia has become Asia's epicenter of the COVID-19, facing the worst outbreak, with the health infrastructure of the country scrambling to save lives. And amid this crisis, a group of volunteers have been pedaling through the streets of Semarang to deliver medicines to COVID-19 patients in home isolation. The 35-year-old Arhaman Surya Atmaja is part of the volunteer group of cyclists who stop at a pharmacy to pick medicines for people in home isolation. The country's total infections so far have surpassed 33,31,000, with over 90,000 fatalities reported. And with that, it's time to wrap up this edition of Midday Prime. Thanks for tuning in. Namaskar.